Let's make sure they're all the right way around, shall we? Reading Mojo was out the window in October, which is the penultimate one of the year. I feel like I am breaking my luck here by saying that, and just went down my brain. Hello lovely bookworms, and welcome to a new round of Game of the Books. Today we're already filming our November version, which is the penultimate one of the year. Only one more after this remains for 2025, which seems to have flown by. I have to admit that I haven't done them every single month, but I am definitely planning to do that next year, or at least have some sort of TBR out if I don't play my game. So we're going in with our trusty dusty board. I'm not going to hold it up too long because it turns me very orange because of the white in the board. But I do want to ask you to send me in some prompts so I can incorporate those for next year. I don't think I'm immediately going to make a new board, considering I've not been using it so much this year. So don't expect a new board in January. There is some stuff coming in December, but I'll talk to that in probably some reading vlogs, and there will be an announcement somewhere in November, so look out for that. That said, let's not talk too much and let's just start with roll number 1. Hello and welcome back to a new round of Game of the Books. Today we are diving into our November edition, which is the penultimate one of the year. Incredibly. I'm not going to talk too much. I think you know the rules. So green is physical TBR, orange is whatever I want it to be, then blue is something that was on a past TBR. I of course have my TBR jars and I have my yellow wildcards. I'm allowed to re-roll once. That does mean that I will move further along the board. We're doing 5 rolls as per usual at this point, and if I surpass this 63 right here, then it's an additional book. So without further ado, let's just go in with roll number 1. We have my trusty D20 here, and that is 7. I hope you can see that. 7. 7 is a green physical TBR, and the card's upside down. That's a wild card. Thank you, board. We needed that very much. So, wild card. Okay, so roll number 1 was a green wild card. And we're off to an amazing start. There's quite a couple of books at the moment that I want to incorporate but might not fit certain prompts. So the first one is a final book in a series, considering I'm reading the 4th one right now. And I think I'll be able to finish that in October. We're not yet in November when I'm filming this. And that one, I think, is one of my favorite middle grade series I've ever read. So the book I want to add is Mermedusa by Thomas Taylor. This is the final book in the An Eerie on Sea mystery series, and the sun's coming out. Sorry if the lighting is changing. It is a little bit difficult today to film. But Mermedusa is the final one in this series, which start with Malamander. This is situated in the town of Eerie on Sea, where we follow Herbie and we follow Violet as they go through all different kinds of mysteries. The first one starts with the Malamander, which is, I think, a sea monster, if I remember correctly. And then every single book in that series has a different kind of animal or a different kind of legend, something along those lines. I really want to finish this, and I think this is the final one, or at least the final one that's been released so far, and I kind of want to wrap up the series but kind of don't want to, if you know what I mean. So this is book number 1 for November. Are all the cards upside down? I think just a couple. Let's reshuffle to make sure that, oh, there's a couple more. Let's make sure they're all the right way around, shall we? That one has to flip. That one has to flip. Okay, let's reshuffle to make it fair. Okay. Moving on to roll number 2. That's rolling just outside of the screen, I think, but that is 8. That's another wild card. Right? Am I counting correctly? I started on 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's a second wild card. Okay, board. Thank you very much for that. Okay, we have another wild card. I think this is a great start of the month. As I think I said, I definitely need wild cards at the moment. So the next book I'm adding might be a little bit prematurely. It's a book I've recently acquired, and that is The Christmas Clue by Nicola Upson. This is a real life Cluedo mystery, murder mystery. So this is I think about a couple that go, Christmas Eve 1943, Anthony and Elva Pratt arrive in a snowy English village to run a murder mystery game and instead discover a real murder. And they have to figure out who did it. This one just sounds delightful. I really want to get into the Christmassy vibe, and I think November is definitely the moment where I start to get very Christmassy. So I think this is the perfect moment to pick this one up before we get into all of the busyness of December. So that's my second book for the month. Moving on to roll number 3. Roll number 3. We're going well so far. I feel like I am breaking my luck here by saying that, but anyway. 17, yeah. There we are, big numbers. Okay, 17. No way. 32. 15 to 32. No way. 17. That's a third wild card. What? That is insane. Okay. Thank you so much, board. I cannot believe that we have yet another wild card. I think this is perfect for the mood I'm currently in, because I'm finding that my reading mojo was out the window in October due to the fact that Ghost of Yote was released in October. I have read a bit, and I've decided to try and get myself back into reading by knocking off a couple middle grades, because I think that always gets me back into page turning, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm doing with this next one as well. I actually reread the first one in this series in October because I first read it in 2024 and I didn't really remember any of it. That's my bad. I don't know why, but I just didn't remember it, but it definitely said that I read it, so I'm pretty sure I listened to the audiobook of that and just went down my brain. So I reread the first one, and I'm now gonna go into The Tower at the End of Time by Amy Sparks. We follow Nine in this, and she actually found a house at the edge of magic, and in that house she has all types of interesting companions, and in this one I think she has to go into some kind of championship, the Wizarding Hopscotch Championship. I feel like this is a book that I can quite easily read. The pages or the font is quite large, and in general I just love these little magical reads when it comes to middle grade, and I think I'll really enjoy this one, and it'll be quite an easy read for the month of November. So I've added this to my TBR to try and get myself back into reading. Moving on to the next roll. Roll number 4, which is 8 again. That's a green. So a green physical TBR, and it was read a high fantasy book. I think I can do that. I have quite a couple on my list that I would love to read, so that is number 4. Okay, so we couldn't just keep on rolling wild cards. So the next one is another green, and that is physical TBR, read a high fantasy book. And for this one, I actually wanted to pick one out that I think would be relatively easy to read, but of course high fantasy. So for this one, I went for one I've had for a long time, and that's Through the White Wood by Jessica Leek. I am so sorry if the light keeps changing. It's quite difficult with the natural light coming in today. But I was talking about Through the White Wood. I think this is a standalone story, and we follow a girl who has magic abilities. As I said, she has freezing powers, and she's exiled to the castle and the prince. I don't know that much about it, so I'm just gonna go into it. I've had it so long that it's been yellowed. Wow, Esme. Anyway, I hope that this is gonna be a fun little fantasy read to get myself into that fantasy kick as well, and then sort of move on to some of the more hefty books I have on my TBR, because I find that I don't reach for them because they're so daunting. So I hope this one's not that daunting and I can pick it up in the month of November. Moving on to the final roll. Moving on to what I think will be the final roll, roll number 5. If we don't surpass the 63, can we? 40... No, we can't. Well, 60 is the first we can go. That's good. Unless I re-roll, but let's be smart about this. I'm not going to re-roll. All right. 8. Another 8. We're in the 8s. That is upside down. But it is 8. Okay. TBR jar. I think I'm going to skip the TBR jar this month because I feel like I'm not doing that great with the TBR jar. Am I? You know what? We're going to do the TBR jar. With all the wild cards that I've had this month, that is a good thing to start to end with. So TBR jar it is. And that's the final one. Okay, so the final roll, the board didn't let me off the hook. I actually have to get out my TBR jar. I debated to re-roll and see if I would, you know, land somewhere below that 63 mark, but I decided with all of the wild cards, which is 3, and also the quite easy prompt of the high fantasy card, I would do one book that I forced myself to read. I am allowed to redraw once, but I'm gonna try not to. Let's just get out my trusty little TBR jar. For now, we're still in the pumpkin. I think I might just keep it in the pumpkin for the entire year because I love pumpkins. And it's ceramic, so it's not gonna decay or whatever. In any case, this is my TBR jar. I have all of the papers in here of the books that I own, besides the murder book, because that was a recent purchase, but we already have that on TBR, so that's fine. Let me shake it up. Make sure we don't cheat on this. I wouldn't know how to, but there we go. Take the little lid off and just dunk my head in. I am not completely sure yet what, because I've put all of my books in here, also sequels. What I will do if I grab a sequel book, see me now grab a sequel book, we'll decide as we go. No, let's decide first. If I grab a sequel book, I will read the book in that series that I've not yet read before it. Okay. First card. Well, card. I'm about to redraw, so I might do that. You guys can see first. Diddly squat pigs might fly. I'm pretty sure there's another one before this that I have not yet read. Let me get it out. I think I might redraw, but let me get this out first, if I can find it. So the second one is actually this one, Till the Cows Come Home, which is the prequel to this one. This is all stories written by Jeremy Clarkson about his farm. I actually got these for my boyfriend because we watched the series Diddly Squat. I'm tempted to put this on my TBR and also redraw to see what comes out. Let's at least redraw and put this in the back of our minds. Okay, grabbing the jar again, shaking it again, going in. It is also possible that I pick one out that I've already read, which would be an accomplishment because I'm not going to go through that jar to just pick out the ones I do read. So now I'm going to go first. Gathering of Shadows by V. Schwab. Can that focus? Trying not to show my face. Wait. Scooch it out. Come on. Focus. There we go. Gathering of Shadows. Gathering of Shadows is somewhere here, I think, because it's a red book. Yeah. Gathering of Shadows. I have to finish this one too. Okay, so these are the choices. Very, very different. I think I'm gonna put both on my TBR and see what we do, because I feel like the ones that I currently have on there are not that big. So I think I could potentially go into these. Let's just put both of them in my TBR basket and see how the month will go. So let me show you the stack of the books that I am gonna read in November. Have to rearrange them first. I actually wanted to not go for a daunting stack this month, but I've still gone for a daunting stack this month. So this is it. I have the Jeremy Clarkson book, Gathering of Shadows, Through the Whitewood, The Christmas Clue, The Tower at the End of Time, and Mermedusa. And I think it's an interesting one. I think I'm tempted to, with these ones, I'll pick and choose. I kind of want to do both, but priority is one of these and then the other 4. We'll see how I'll do in November. I feel like as we're getting into the colder seasons, I definitely feel like I want to read more, so hopefully it's all gonna work out. So those are all of the books that I want to read for the month of November. I hope you've enjoyed watching this once again, and stay tuned for December because December is going to be an interesting month. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press the little bell icon so you get post notifications every single time that we post. And I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye!